Hello and welcome to On the Kerbs. I'm your host, Thiemo Daily. Joining me for this week's episode is Christina J. Dobloug. We caught up recently to chat about her plans to race in the Africa Eco Race to Dakar in 2026, what it's like to be a stunt driver, and her experience on the Netflix hit Troll, as well as her ambitions for the future, both inside and outside of the car, and a whole lot more. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi Christina, thank you very much for being here today. First of all, how are you?
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. First question that I'd like to ask everyone, what first got you interested in motorsport?
My father had been racing quite a few years prior to my birth, and obviously that ran in the bloodlines to me as well. He had been racing some Formula racing in Britain, and he had a dream of building one of Norway's biggest racing tracks. So
It's not a small dream.
had no choice.
Did he achieve that?
Yes.
No, it's
So
not a
that's
bad
in
thing.
fact one of four main racetracks in Norway now.
That's not a bad legacy, that. And I'm guessing you grew up all around it then. It was probably inevitable that you were going to end up in motorsport in some way.
In some way, definitely. I started off quite late. Most people maybe start in their early teens with go-karting, but I started off when I was just before 20.
Hmm.
And then I tried some go-karts, but then it was straight into the Vauxhall Cup.
Did you find it a disadvantage at all starting a bit later than everyone else, or was it just a matter of finding which category was best for you, and then from there it was fine?
Well, I grew up in my father's car shop, so obviously
Hmm.
I've always been keen on cars, more than motorbikes and go-karts. And when the track was ready, it was mostly car racing and motorcycles going on there. And to me, it was natural to go into the cars. And I do prefer to have a roof on my head.
You were one of the first people then to get to test out that circuit, kind of privileges of knowing the guy who created it.
Well, I don't know. Here in Norway, it's quite common with track days and a lot of practice, free practice. So I think the barrier to go on the track might be a bit lower than a lot of other places. So I think if you're interested in racing, you have a lot of opportunities. But of course, I've been on that track thousands and thousands of laps, and I know it quite well. I mean, I mow the lawn, cutting the grass around the track, um, all through the summer. I've painted all the curbs. So I'll have to admit, yes, I do know the
You,
track
you
quite well.
you might be the best person to know it, I'd say, if you're kind of dealing with it in that sort of detail.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
you were saying then that quite a bit of karting and then you moved on. So I'm guessing when you moved on, that was more or less your first proper racing experience. Then I suppose what
Yes.
was that like? Because obviously then you moved away, like you say. Did it feel right to that point in time? Did you feel like, oh, this is the kind of racing that suits me?
The Vauxhall courses was a really nice way to get into racing. It was affordable at the time. It was a huge starting grid. At some points, more than 30 cars, which is a lot in Norway.
I like that.
And it was a great way to start. It's not too expensive if something happens. And we got to deal with a arrive and drive with a good team. So that was my entry into the racing.
I'm guessing with 30 plus cars on the grid at any one time, it's probably a good thing that it's one of the cheaper ways to get into motorsport because I'm guessing a lot can happen in those kind of races.
Yes, but then again, it's also close racing because they're all
Hmm.
standard cars, which makes it much more fun to watch if there's seven or eight cars within the second.
Yeah, it really sets
Yeah.
out who's good
It's
behind the
close
wheel and
racing.
who's you can't really fake it in terms of that,
No,
really, can you?
definitely not.
So what was it like that first time going out? Did it I'm just intrigued by the whole thing. What was it like going out the first time and competing in that category?
It was great. Obviously nerve-wracking because, since my father had built the track, um, several people thought I knew it so much better than everybody else, but definitely no. There were so many good racers that also developed into a lot of um, higher classes and on to France and Spain and the UK later on. So a lot of good racers. But I think I achieved the base of my racing in that class. Had such a great learning experience, and the basic techniques and the speed was the best way to start. And obviously, I think that today as well, to start in the GT5 class or something similar to that is it's the best way to start. Don't start in the GT1.
I suppose as well the fact that it's all identical machinery as well means that you don't have to worry as much about a bunch of different factors that come into play. You can just really focus on the fundamentals, like you say, and get used to it. And yeah, you knew the track, but making sure that you knew the track as well as people accused you of knowing it and being
Yeah, I
able
mean,
to go racing them.
there's always small tweaks every here and there,
Mm. Mm.
which gives you the advantage. And but I think it's fair and square to race like that. Really enjoyed it. That was in
Obviously,
'96.
I was going to say then, yeah, a lot's happened since then.
Yes.
Um, and I mean, I was saying to you before we started recording that there's so many different avenues that we could go down here, but one of the ones I definitely want to talk about is the fact that, in amongst everything that you've done, you're also a stunt driver. So, how did that
Yeah.
come about? Because racing driver is one thing, but then it takes another kind of adrenaline seeker, I guess, to go after the stunt driving.
Well, it sort of was by coincidence. It was a fellow racer, Frederick Surley. He's a
Hmm.
development driver for, amongst others, Cyrus. He's been racing Formula Basics and Ford, I think, in the UK quite a bit. And he's driving the Ukraine car in a lot of movies like
Okay.
007 and Mission Impossible. And I've been racing with him as well,
Not bad
amongst
mentors.
others. This one is
This
the two
conveniently
of us
placed
racing
trophy.
together. Um, and he asked me if I would like to join in driving a body double for a Norwegian actress in a quite famous series in Norway. And I said yes, and the ball just kept on rolling after that. And I've been in quite a few movies and series around, yeah.
Is that just in Norway or a bit of everywhere then? After that, like you say, if the ball got rolling, did it kind of just get away from you a little bit and you were appearing in stuff that you weren't expecting? What kind of stuff have you been in?
I'll have to admit, I expected it just to happen a few times in some Norwegian series, but I was body doubling the main character in Troll on Netflix, which has
Oh yeah.
been Netflix's most viewed foreign language film of all time. Um, some 180 million people or something. Um, and
Setting quite a high bar for yourself straight away there.
wasn't expecting that some years ago. It was a great laugh, though. It was a great
Hmm.
scenes that we did. Really enjoyed it. Really put me through the test of what I could achieve with the car or pickup.
Hmm.
Um, Succession,
Oh yeah.
American series on HBO, and yeah, some other Netflix series as well,
I'm
and
curious
several commercials, and yeah.
with the stunt driving, does that when you then go back to, for lack of a better phrase, regular racing, does that give you some kind of an advantage or an insight there that you wouldn't have had before that you can use on the track then?
Well, sometimes you kind of do more extreme things when you're doing the stunt driving,
Hmm.
and also precision driving. It's a lot of precision driving. I think it's more a matter of being an experienced racer or driving anything that will help you develop into a good stunt driver or a position driver, because it's all about weight distribution, knowing the limits and pushing the limits, and most of all, how you work with the camera crew. Because obviously, if you need to do a stunt maybe 5 times, same pace, start off at the same place, end at the same place, have the car at the same place, all through it's it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of waiting. But then again, once there's a wrap and you've done it, then it's kind of like, whoo, did it with a car jump or whatever.
Does having to perform that level of consistency help you be consistent when you're then back racing? It's like you say with the stunt driving, if you're doing the same thing 5, 6 times, you can't be wildly different every time. It's not going to work otherwise. But obviously, it's is it more pressure then if it's for a stunt driving than it is for racing if it's like that, or is it just a different kind? Because I'm thinking it's two very different sort of scenarios, but the pressure's there.
It's kind of different, but definitely the pressure is there. So if you're doing a huge production for like Netflix and there's 150 people on set, all eyes on you, you really need to deliver. You don't want to fail. And the margins are quite small sometimes. And you only have one take, maybe.
Mm.
If you're going to race through, like we did in Troll, you race through an alley and you have a car cannon where you shoot a car through. You have that one take and that's it.
Yeah,
So,
that'd take quite a while to set back up again otherwise, and that'll be quite expensive, I imagine.
yes. So it's totally different. Whilst in racing, you want to do your best every single lap or on every single stage. And as of now, I'm doing more off-road racing and Bajas, and it's two of you in the car, and that's also been a different thing for me to get into having a co-driver, which you don't have
How
with track racing.
no, no. So there's so many threads there. One last thing on the stunt driving next. I definitely want to talk about Baja, but is it a different kind of pressure then, and how did you deal with that with the stunt driving? Like you say, if it's one of those big setup shots where there's the giant cannon involved and all these sorts of things, how do you not kind of let your mind run away with that before you have to go and do the thing? Because it's one thing in like qualifying or a race or something, you know that if it's a circuit, for example, well, one lap you can just hopefully correct up the next one. But if you
Yeah.
mess up there, slightly different scenario.
Well, I use a very good technique used by the army military, which is the box breathing technique.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 4x4x4 breathing technique, which kind of lowers the pressure a bit. And usually I'm in the car by myself, so I put on some nice white music and
Get in the
try to
zone.
relax and just go through the scene in my head and how it's going to look on the camera and what they want to see. Because if you're gonna pretend that you're drunk driving, you need to overdo everything. Because
Yeah,
if you do it the way you think you're supposed to do it, it looks quite boring. And you need to like exaggerate um, when you're braking, when you're turning, and everything you do, it needs to be quite a bit extra, to put it that way, because that's how it looks good on the camera.
is that a technique and a methodology that you've always done, or is that something that's developed over time and you've kind of seen what works, seen what doesn't work, or what doesn't work as well?
Definitely developed.
Mhm.
I was such a novice in my first series and dead nervous, but I was there with people who are experienced racers that I've known for years. So it was a really good experience and just wanted to get more of it.
And you're saying, as one of the examples there, if you're having to kind of give the impression that you're driving drunk, as you say, you've got to over exaggerate things and do things in a slightly different way. Did you ever consult with any of the actors on the show or the film that you were watching to see if they had any tips for how you would do that? Because obviously they're the one that you're pretending to be, but they don't see you on screen either. So was there ever any kind of crossover there, or was that just you kind of talking to other stunt drivers and that sort of thing and learning from them?
Um, I usually get the script, the part of the script where I'm in, getting that usually the same day or a couple of days before. All depends. In some productions, everything is a secret until late night before. Might not even know where in the country I'll be at.
Is there
It's the
more
plane
pressure then, or is there
tickets.
more excitement?
Yeah, it's more excitement because
Hmm.
I know that because of my relevant experience, they would never ask me if I would not be capable of doing it. So I'm quite confident that anything I'll be asked, I can do. So
And hopefully you
um,
don't see the script and go, oh boy, that's going to be interesting.
that's happened. Yeah, um, on Troll, um, it's a huge bridge over the main train station in Oslo,
Hmm.
and there was supposed to be a 75-meter troll chasing us around the streets of Oslo, and going with an old 60s pickup up on the bridge. It goes up like that and it turns in the middle. And then it goes, okay, and you do a handbrake turn in the middle and you stop. And then you go maximum reverse and do a J turn and go scoot off the other way. And I was like, right, well, the truck is about the same length as the width of the bridge. But I broke one brake light and
That's
we
not too
had,
bad.
yeah, not
I say
too
that,
bad.
if anything, maybe adds a level of authenticity to it because if that was a kind of a regular person in that film that you're pretending to be, then you've got to assume they're not going to be a professional driver.
Yes, and then again, when you do these things, you kind of have to be all in to do it. And I'm usually dressed and get a wig and everything and look like the actress or the actor that I'm supposed to be. And I usually, or in that case, they called and said, "How did you do? Where did you hold your hand?" Because we're doing on the green screen and in the studio with the actress, and where did you
Hmm.
put your hand when you did that? And to me, I do
And
this on
hopefully you can remember.
automatic response, and I'm
Yeah,
okay. I think I did it like that and that. So for her to do the same thing,
but that's maybe an extra challenge there that you weren't prepared for because, like you say, you're just an autopilot for when you're doing
yeah,
it, and you're not thinking about that for afterwards. Um,
no, most of the time.
you mentioned Baja as well, which again I would love to talk about. When did you first get into that? And I take it that was the first time you had a co-driver and someone in the passenger seat, as it were. What was all that like, and getting used to that?
How that happened was that I got involved with Bowler with Land Rover in the
Hmm.
UK. My initial goal was to go to the Africa Eco Race with the old Bulldog. Uh, but then they launched the new Defender Rally Series. And I just went all in and bought one of those.
Pivoted.
That was my first experiences with having a co-driver and totaled the car in the first race.
Ah,
I don't think
didn't quite
I'm
go
the
to
first
plan
one
then.
who's done that. Full send. Let's go.
No, you can't accuse you of not being committed.
No. So I think most rally drivers or racers that's been trying to learn and going all in has done the same thing. So I went to the Iceland Hill Rally. I hired an old bowler 90 from Bowler and did the first race there. And I mean, the scenery was epic.
Oh yeah, I
It
mean
was
it's
5 days
insane
in
there.
Iceland. So, and that's going to be part of the documentary we're making as well. This was in 2021, I think. 2020, yeah. So
Wow,
that was
okay.
my first experience with a co-driver and doing a stage hill rally. And after that, I hired a car from the Netherlands, Can-Am Maverick, and
Hmm.
went to the Hungarian Baja, which is quite well-known Baja. It was a massively great experience. Really enjoyed it. Crazy.
A
So
massive
dusty,
contrast to
so
Iceland as well.
dry.
I mean, such a iconic kind of location and race, but again, so different from what you were just doing.
Yeah. And that was a great race as well. And for me, that was just fueling everything. My mind, I've always wanted to go to the Africa Eco race
Hmm.
since I was a kid and saw the Camel Trophy and the old Paris Dakar.
Yeah, yeah. No, I imagine that does stick
I
in your
think
mind quite
quite a
well.
few
'Cause
people have that as a bucket list dream.
yeah, it's just the kind of old school nature of it. You've got perfectly good races these days and perfectly big epic races, but I think there's
Yeah.
just something about that old timey nostalgia feel of some of these ones that you just can't get away from, and you're just like, oh, I would happily just if I could only do one race, I'd happily just do that one.
Yes, definitely. And we have a Norwegian who's been doing it quite a few times on the motorbike, Paul
Hmm.
Anders Bolsæter, who has been quite successful and been watching his races, and that's quite inspiring when you see some fellow countrymen doing the same thing.
Motivates you to get out there as well. Then,
Yes, and here we are. Paid my first part of the entry fee.
yeah, and say we're going to get onto that because you definitely, like you say, you go all in with whatever you do by the look of things. So, um,
Yeah,
I'm trying to think where to go. We'll go with this year for starters. I think because obviously there's been so much that you've been doing, but then if you look at the present 2025, how's it been going for you so far? What have you been up to?
oh, 2025. That's probably been the year where I've been racing the least, to be
Quiet
honest.
preparation,
But
and I don't buy it for a second. There's you're just up to something.
um, I think it's the year so far that a lot has happened behind the scenes.
Hmm.
A lot, yes. So, and I can't wait to share everything. It's just, yeah, the ball just started rolling, and everything I've been working so hard to achieve is now starting to fall into place. And it's definitely great, and getting a lot of attention around what I'm doing also helps, obviously, because you need partners to do such a great race. It's not it's not inexpensive. So
No, no, definitely in the wrong sport for that.
yeah. So
Um,
hopefully I'll be doing one race in 2025 over maybe 5 days in Morocco. I'm not
hmm.
sure which one yet, but I
So
need
a
to
couple
do
come to mind when you
one
mentioned
race
that. So
before January. Yeah.
yes, you mentioned earlier the documentary that's being made. Is this one of the things that you've been working on this year, and what can you
Yeah.
tell us about that?
They started following me in 2020 when I
I'd say it's been a long
initially
time
went.
coming.
Yeah. I mean, to prepare for a race like that, starting from scratch, I mean, obviously I put my savings into it, but I've been working really hard to build brick by brick. I mean, I don't come from a family of off-road racers. It's all been track. So to me, I've been kind of in a territory where I'm not familiar at all. Did not had no network, nothing. So I started off going to the UK with a pair of empty hands and trying to learn as much as possible. And from 2020, a production company started following my journey and been following it ever since. So it's going to be a short movie and a documentary series.
Really exciting. I don't. Did you think that? I mean, I can't imagine you would have thought that this was going to be something that would happen to you when you started your racing career.
Definitely not. Absolutely not. But one of the things that happened along the way was that I started having some talks about what I was doing. I didn't realize that anybody was particularly interested in the journey. But one of my goals is to have more motivational speak talks to schools, to
Hmm.
um, to youth in particular, about motivation. I mean, small town girl from Norway, wanting to do one of the biggest races on earth.
So
Who would have
maybe
thought
maybe
it's
small town
possible?
girl, but big impressions you're leaving will pretty much wherever you
Yeah.
go in terms of it.
So what I'm hoping is that my long journey with ups and downs to get to the Africa Eco Race might be motivation for somebody who struggles in school or would like to do better and achieve their goals. I mean, nothing is impossible.
So I'm going to skip ahead a little bit there, as you mentioned the motivation, because you are a motivational speaker when you get the chance to. So you've talked a little bit about there. How did that initially come about? Was it because of the documentary a little bit from talking to other people, or did it come from a different area
No,
at
not
first and it all just
really.
kind of came together?
It started when the Royal Automobile Club of Norway asked if I could represent Norway in Rally Jameel in Saudi Arabia last year in March.
That's a
And
pretty nice offer
that
to
was,
get from
yeah, so from there, talking about the experience we had there, I mean, that's all about women and
Mm.
how women should have their place in motorsport in the Arabian world as well. And from there, it just kind of went from one talk to another one. And I was asked to have some talks about why and how I could motivate myself to do such a thing.
Feels
And
a lot like the stunt driving. It just kind of snowballed. You kind of go, oh yeah, I'll do this one thing, and then before you know it, there's another thing, and there's another
yeah, it's kind of like my life has been, and I
thing.
do enjoy it. To me, I'm living the dream. I have exactly the life that I want and dreamed of. I race cars. I have motivational speak talks for youth, hopefully motivating them to follow their dreams and do well in school. I wasn't particularly good in school myself, definitely not.
It
And
seems to have worked out all right for you.
yeah, hard work beats talent anytime. I'm not saying it's easy, but you need to set your mind to it and then go for it. And
Do
my
you find that when you've had a not superb day in the car or during a race that you're still able to turn that inner motivational speaker on to help yourself, or do you need someone else to help you with that, depending on how awkward a day it was?
I think that to me, being in the car, putting my helmet on, being in my little racing bubble, and hearing my co-driver in the air talking about where we're going and all the small talk we do within the stages, that's motivation enough for me. I mean, sometimes I need to pinch my arm and say, Jesus, am I really doing this?
And apparently the answer is yes every single time.
Yeah. So, well, I haven't done the Africa Eco Race yet, but I'm definitely visualizing myself on the finish line.
No,
Not the
it's
start
I
line,
think
the
you
finish line.
I think that is the right headspace with those kind of races though. I know with especially the bigger, longer ones, you like the idea of a podium, you like the idea of a win, of course. But also, I think finishing those kind of races in itself is its own reward, and it's the one, not the one race, but it's the one kind of race. I think a little bit like if you use the circuit racing as the example, the 24 hours
Yeah.
of Le Mans, you don't mind as much if you don't win it or you don't get a trophy or you don't get points. As long as you finish, there is that kind of you've made it through. There's the endurance, respectability aspect of it that makes it just I don't know weirdly a bit more satisfying than any other race.
Yeah, and that's what I've been taught all along since I first stepped into Bowler's headquarters, and Dave Marsh and John Coburn has been teaching me everything I know about off-road rallies, and they have such a great experience. And it's all about staying on the 75% level, being the slow and steady one,
I would
not
say it's not
going.
been quite slow and steady wins the race, but it's not far off either.
No, but I mean, if you're gonna have the machine and yourself and the co-driver to
Mhm.
last for 12 days, then you need to have a steady pace instead of thinking
Mm.
you're gonna conquer the world in the first day. That's usually not a very good idea, and
So you can't win the race on the first day, but you can lose it.
you can definitely lose it. And usually the first days are the toughest ones. And to me, just it's being the first Norwegian female to race the Africa Eco race. Just that it puts some pressure on you. And John Coburn, who's been doing the Dakar Rally, what, 9 times, and well, he's raced everything there is to race. And I think with him in the co-driver seat, there's definitely a chance to get to that finish line.
Yeah, I'm going to say if he's not experienced it, then I don't know what is getting thrown at you at that point.
Yeah. And I know the team, and I've been racing with them previously, and the new Can-Am is also a really good machine. We saw that in the Dakar Rally as well, with
Mm.
Sarah Price winning several stages. So I
She
think,
did such an amazing job when she did that.
yeah,
It
well,
was so
yeah.
nice to see. She's been going along for a good few years now, so it was nice from that perspective. But then also with the car, so it was just a really nice story of all of that one. I thought,
And now she's in the Defender,
yeah, yeah,
which I feel really privileged to have been part of the developing years in the beginning with that car.
yeah. It's funny how motorsport works out like that. Sometimes it's kind of um, not give and take, but it's a give and take in that sense. But in the positive aspect of you're helping to develop and you help with what she's doing now, but then you could argue you paved the way for her in some aspects as well, and then she was able to succeed there. And I like how it all kind of balances out a little bit, and it's
Yeah.
teamwork on a massive scale.
So I just have to
Oh,
say, I mean, um, and it's not just racing that prepares you to go to a race like the Africa Eco Race. It's all kinds of
mm.
driving. I've been driving a concrete semi truck, 40 tons, on icy conditions. That kind of does something with you, and
So it definitely makes
uh,
you concentrate, I'd imagine.
yeah, and being an instructor, racing on ice, track, um, racing the 65 Mustang, which I've done in the historical racing. It's all a matter of speed and just keeping up the continuously learning, learning, learning.
I think it's one of those things where you can race a multitude of different things and you're never going to be quite sure what will be beneficial for you from one to the next. But it's always really interesting to see what can take from one thing to the next because I think
Yeah.
I see that more with a couple of the younger drivers these days as well. The example that comes to mind was when Leah Block first went into single seater racing and she's got this obviously famous rallying background. You go, this is going to be interesting because she's going to maybe try and drive that in a rally sort of way. And you definitely notice that in some corners on some tracks, you're like, yeah, you're trying to kind of drift that almost around a corner as if you're on
Yeah.
a dirt track. And that's not quite going to work. But I like that you can see the learning process unfolding there and how then
Yeah.
sometimes that gives you the edge over your competitors. And the more different things you drive, I think the more complete a driver you are. Then.
Yeah. And I started running orienteering
Hmm.
in the forest to learn more about uh, how to read the terrain. So I think all of these things just, I mean, I need to prepare just in case. I mean, I might break a leg and John will have to drive and I'll be the navigator. I need to do both things. So yeah, I am actually, I have these things hanging around the house
A
just
new
to
language to learn.
get ready and learn the road book as well.
You mentioned the '65 Mustang, and as you mentioned it, I have to ask about it because getting to race that, I mean, that's just going to be a whole separate dream come true, surely. I mean, I know we're talking about the Dakar and all of these sorts of things, but just as I was reminded there, I don't know why you holding up the kind of the co-driver notes reminded me of it, but it's just something I've got to ask about before I forget. So tell me all about that and what was that like? Because that's not a
So
bad way to spend your time.
no, that's my father's car. And obviously it's always been a dream of mine to drive that proper V8 Ford.
Hmm.
It's an amazing car. And he raced it for several years. He also took it to Goodwood Revival.
Hmm.
Raced it there for the Mustang's 50th anniversary, I think it was.
That must have been
Um,
quite special.
yeah, and I had a dream of going there as well to race it in the St. Mary's Trophy,
Hmm.
but so far it hasn't happened. But we've done so many upgrades and refurbishing on that car. Now it's running like nobody's business. But I think to me, I really enjoy racing that car. It's just the really old-fashioned way of racing. It's loud, it's growling, and you can just drift down the whole pit straight if you want to. And I love racing it in the rain because you can go drifting but it's a time for everything. And to me now it's all it all goes into to Africa in January.
Yeah, yeah.
But fortunately enough, I've raced the Mustang for 3 seasons and ended the class with a class win for the season in 24. So I'll have to say
Not a
I'm
bad way to
satisfied with
leave
that.
things for a bit, yeah.
Yeah. And that's also all about developing my driving style. Definitely. It's totally different from going in the GT5 car.
No, definitely. And
And
I
of
can see,
course, the rally driving has also helped me not being that having so much respect for the Mustang because it's powerful. And in the beginning, I felt maybe if it was I was just riding along, but
yeah, I was going to say it's maybe the car drives you rather than you driving the
yeah,
car, and you have that respect for it, and that's
yeah.
understandable because of what
I
it is.
mean,
But I think you need that confidence or that determination to go. You're not in control. I'm the one that's driving it. If that
yeah.
makes sense. You're having this conversation with the car.
Yeah, yeah, I'm talking to that car. I talk to the car whilst I'm driving. So yeah, realized that when I had my inboard camera. And for the last season, the last season in 24, when I was driving it, I was definitely driving the car with attitude and passion and grit. It was just, total control. I loved it. It was great. It makes me miss it even more.
We'll move on so you don't get too emotional about it.
I do get emotional with all the vehicles I've owned.
This might be tricky for me for the rest of this then.
Yeah.
Arguably, the Eco Dakar is going to be maybe the biggest challenge that you're going to have faced in quite a while, if not ever, because it's just the scale of it and it being a little bit different, obviously, to what you're used to. But before then, what would you say has been the biggest challenge for you to have overcome, and how did you overcome it?
It was definitely the matter of coming. How can I put this? After the car, I had a terrible roll and car crash with the Defender at Walters Arena, the infamous Walters Arena, and I have to admit I was dead scared for a year to get back behind the wheel. When the car was finally repaired and I got behind the wheel, it happened at Walters Arena. And to be honest, Dave Marsh and John Coburn was my best mentors to get behind the wheel again. And that resulted in the second place. And I
Not too
started
bad.
loving both Walters Arena and the car again. Um,
What was it about the crash that just kind of really took you out of it that made you so apprehensive for so long? Was it just because it
well,
hadn't been something of that scale before, or what was it
never
about
been in
it?
that scale before. And
Hmm.
obviously I had put my all of my savings. I had pawned my mother's apartment to buy it. I had been in the press. I felt like it was all eyes on me, and
Hmm.
then managed to do that huge crash. And it kind of gets people talking. You need to rebuild your confidence. You need to rebuild everything you work so hard for, and it's taken 3 years to get back and bounce back. But I think it's all made me stronger and more confident, and it has made me realize that everything doesn't have to happen at once. You need to have patience. Things do happen for a reason. Obviously, you don't want to crash, but
I was going to say you're
um,
very dedicated at making a comeback story for yourself because you really took the bad bit of it seriously and did it properly.
yeah. And start all over again. You kind of start walking the path and make your own path, and you bounce back. And it kind of made me even want to bounce back even stronger.
Hmm.
It was hard, it was difficult, obviously, but whenever you get messages from girls around that says you're a great inspiration and they look up to you, want to be like me when they grow up, you kind of go, okay, let's do
And
this.
how to
I
do this then?
cannot give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really encouraging.
When you first got back in the car, and obviously then at the same venue, curious because you said you were a little bit apprehensive still even then. Do you remember the crossover point when all of those kind of feelings went away and you got maybe that old feeling back of you were like, oh no, I know what this is, I know what I'm doing, I know how this is going to work? Or
Yeah.
was it kind of, or did you not notice that it was only afterwards that it kind of really
Oh
came
no,
to you?
I
Oh
remember
no, okay.
like every second, every smell when I was on the start line of the first stage there. I had an experienced co-driver and off-road racer, Dave Hooper, by my
Hmm.
side, and he also helped build my confidence. Going, you can do this faster. I mean, he's very experienced as well. And the moment I saw the turn, I kind of like froze. I was like, oh gosh, don't want to do that again. I was all
Time slows down
shaking.
a bit.
But then, when the full throttle going around, sliding around, and I was like, was that it?
It's a lot smaller than you
That,
remembered it
that
being.
has been my nemesis for a whole year, 365 days. Hadn't been a day I wasn't thinking about that crash and how I was going to rebuild myself. And I don't know, it was really emotional. The whole day it was just, flying, and I couldn't wait to get back behind the wheel
And
after that round. So
and then the second in class must have been just the cherry on top of that cake, because I think
yeah.
at that point you would just be happy to go and finish it and be done. Like, okay, good, I managed to get back in and get into the rhythm of things, but maybe you weren't expecting to then go and do that on top of it.
It was kind of like, when you're that scared of doing something, and
Mm.
Walters is infamous for throwing you off the course, and there's been a lot of wreckage there, and it was kind of like, oh, I did it. Can I go to sleep? So the tension had been so high for such a long time. But that really built my confidence to come back. And at some point I thought, maybe Africa Eco Race isn't for me, but it definitely is.
Definitely is.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was something where you've had that switch back as well then, because it would be terrible to realize maybe a few more years from now when it's maybe not possible to do for whatever reason that actually you could, like maybe you didn't get back in the car for a year and you waited longer than you needed to, or one of these sorts of things, and then by that point other opportunities have gone and you realize then that this is something I want to do, and instead you're able to, like you say, go, oh, that was it, what was I so scared and worried about that whole time? That was easy.
Yeah.
And now you're taking on the next thing and going after. Would you say that this Africa Ego Dakar is the ultimate goal for you, or is that just kind of like the next big mountain that you see is I want to go and conquer that one, and I'll look at something else after that, but this is all that my focus is on tonight.
Well, you never know what's going to happen after, because whenever doors close, there's always at least another one opening. And to me, I'm always open to other challenges and adventures, but it's always been, I mean, I'm 50 years and it's been on my bucket list since I was 6.
That time you
So
did it.
yeah, it's about time. And to be honest, going to the Africa Eco Race is something that that's not the ultimate goal. The goal is to use my experience and my journey there to start a garage for youth where they can come and fix cars and have an alternative school day once or twice a week to motivate them to finish school and to get on to doing technical things instead of reading books and being in front of a computer.
I like that. There's no one way to do education. I think that sort of thing needs to be more in there, not just on that side of things, but definitely as part of it. You don't, maybe, like you say, you weren't the best student at school, but there was a reason for that because you were more inclined for this sort of thing. And
Yeah.
the sooner you realize that, the better.
I think a lot of kids, being if you have ADHD or if you lack motivation, I think getting out there and being hands-on doing technical things definitely would have helped me doing better in school and motivate me to stay there longer. I mean, I did go to the UK and get a bachelor, but that was really, it was a struggle, but I did it.
And so your face tells me that wasn't the most fun you've ever had.
No, definitely not. But it was, it was expected back then that you do get a bachelor. And I thought, not going to do it in Norway. Let's go to England. It's lots of racing in England.
You had another purpose for going there.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that I'm working with, kind of behind the scenes to get this going as I come home from Africa and start this garage.
No, I really like that idea, and like I say, even if not all of the people that then come to that go off and go into a career with that kind of a background in mind, but I think it's good just to also try things out that are different and you wouldn't get the chance to normally. So even if it's not for you, maybe you spend a couple of days there and you go, well, that's given me a different perspective for something, and I can use that for something else. And you never know what kind of. It's like we were saying earlier with you go and race on a motorbike. It's not maybe for you, but then you can learn something from it that you can use in a different form of racing.
Definitely. So hopefully I'll get some of the big businesses locally around here to take on some of those youth maybe another day in the week, and all of a sudden you have a job to go to when you're finished school, and that's motivation.
Yeah, definitely.
You're
And
being
it
part
just
of
keeps
the
passing
team,
it forward.
yeah, feeling valuable. That's the bottom line there.
You've had quite a lengthy motorsport career so far with so much in there that I feel like on some hand we haven't scraped the surface most of it somehow. But at the same, I can see how you're getting a short film and a series out of this. I put it like that. That's just the last year. There's going to be plenty more where that came from.
Yeah.
But is there a racing related story from anything that we haven't talked about yet that pops into your mind that you'd like talking about or would want to share?
Oh, I think there's so many things. I really have a struggle. I think one of the memories that really fueled my racing was to come back and start racing again after the kids.
Hmm.
Was my trip to the Daytona 500 with my father.
Hmm.
That was a enormous experience. I mean, it's some years ago now, obviously, but
It still sticks with you, obviously.
it does. And Shane van Gisbergen is a joy to watch now. So I have to admit that quite a few times I plan to go to bed early, but end up sitting here watching them race on the ovals. And now we have a Norwegian racing as well, Dennis Hauger. So
Yeah,
hopefully he'll
he's
be in the
doing so
Indy.
well this year.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see him in the Indy at some point. So yeah.
So I was really happy. I mean, I know we're talking about you, but just as you mentioned there, I was so happy to see him doing that well this year because he's had a tough couple of years after he went from F3 into F2, and you're like, oh, what's happening now? And then maybe it just wasn't the series or the car that suited him well. Because as soon as he got into that car this year, it was exactly like no time had passed. And like, oh, I remember this
Yeah.
Dennis Hauger. This is much more like it. And every other driver on that grid's going, oh no, we're not going to win anything this year.
Yeah, but I went to visit him in Jeddah when he was racing the
Mm,
Formula 2. And it's such a huge thing. And I mean the amount you spend going into the Formula 2 and then obviously into Formula 1 if you can get a pass to get there.
yeah.
It's that's minimal, but I think he enjoys the um the Indy Next a lot.
Yeah, I think if there was any confidence missing from him because of the last couple of years, that's come back now and has kind of really revitalized him. And I do hope we get to see him in IndyCar next year because that would be a lot of fun to see. And the
Yeah,
rookies that we've seen from the last couple of years going into there have been pretty good. So that'd be
yeah.
quite exciting as well. So is everything Dakar next? What are you doing this year that you can tell us about that you're doing to prepare for it? Aside from obviously learning how to be a co-driver just in case you need to be.
Oh well, it's funding. There's
Hmm.
a lot to
But
work with the funding. Preparing to get long-term partnerships that will want to not just be funding the Africa Eco Race together with me, and that I would like to have long-term relationships with them where we can work together with the garage as well.
hmm,
Obviously, because I care a lot about doing something for the youth, and that's my main thing. And I got a commercial director in my team now. I have a manager, and things are starting to look very promising. But it's hard work. And being a single mom of twins that's 11 years old,
just
it's a
to add a
lot
bit
of
of
work.
extra complication to
Yeah. Thank God they're not into motor racing yet.
it. I'm kind of impressed that they're not in some respects, considering who their mum is. But
Well, I have tried, but no. So no, it's hard work, and I'm not worried because I know my driving skills are sufficient to go there. And I went on training camp with in Morocco with Mitchell van den Brink. I
hmm,
mean, obviously he's a well-known name, driving a truck and a Can-Am in both the Dakar Rally and all kinds of Bajas and desert challenges. Um, and yeah, hopefully I'll do if hopefully my budget will allow me to do a training race before January.
so I think from talking to other people who've done the Dakar and Saudi and other races similar to that before, the Morocco races that you were mentioning earlier, they've been pretty good at being a nice, for lack of a better phrase, warm up, kind of to get you ready and back, kind of familiar with everything. So it'd be great if you could go and race in at least one of those.
Yeah, and obviously at that time of year, we usually have about minus 20, 25 degrees here, so it's nice to get acclimatized before that.
Yeah, you don't. It'd be quite a shock at the best of times. Never mind, straight away.
Yeah, so I'm not really into ice rallies, to be honest. I do not like
I can't imagine
freezing.
why.
No.
A couple
So
of
it's a lot going on, and I can't say too much about it yet, but for my social media, it will show up.
It's a
Yeah.
good plug. I always like that.
Yeah.
Nicely done. A couple of fun non-motorsport questions then to finish things off. Do you have a favorite band or singer?
I have to admit that there's one person that's been following me since the 80s, and that's Billy Idol.
Okay, yeah.
Motley Crue. I mean, that's typical.
That's where it's at.
Yeah. The Prodigy. I mean, I have quite broad music taste, but yeah, there's that kind of music. Rock music.
Honestly, there's plenty of it, so you're not going to be in short supply. And if you need that for when you're driving, then you've got a pretty good soundtrack to have in the background.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And then finally, if you could live for a year in any country that you've never been to before, where would you choose and why?
That's actually quite an easy one because
Okay.
watching the Camel Trophy in the southern part of the
Should have known
Americas.
motorsport would have been related.
Yeah, I would have an old Range Rover, bring some friends, and do an adventure in Argentina.
It's not a
Definitely.
bad way to spend. I was going to say not
Yeah.
a bad way to spend some time at all. I think quite a nice way to kill a year if you had to.
Oh, I think I'd kill a year really easily there.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. We want to wish you the best of luck for all the rest of your preparation for this year, and obviously keep my fingers
Thank
crossed
you.
for next year as well, because I reckon it's going to be quite a fun and interesting story to watch unfold when you get to actually live it out, and it must be
Let's hope so.
frustrating in some ways that it's still so far away in a lot of respects. Because I'm sure you just really want to get stuck in with it.
I think quite a few people, especially the ones doing racing and rallying, will get some emotional things going on when they see what's going on in the series, because I think most people can relate to some of my experiences. Yeah.
Lovely. Well,
So
best of
I'm
luck, and
looking
been a pleasure
forward.
chatting with you.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you again to Christina for taking the time to chat. Wishing you the best of luck for the rest of 2025 and beyond. If you want to follow Christina's career, follow her on Instagram at Dakar Christina. Further details, as well as where to find more of me, can be found in the description of this episode. In the meantime, I'll be back soon with another interview with someone from the world of motorsport. Until then, thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.